Hi friend. If November 1st has you in the mood for all things pumpkin, then you are in luck today because I am showing you how to make this super simple, super delicious pumpkin roll. Okay guys, it is a little bit later than I thought it would be getting started. So we're just gonna jump right in and get this pumpkin roll started, and then we'll put it in the refrigerator for tonight, and I'll get it out after it's set tomorrow and sprinkle it with some powdered sugar. So let's just get started. So I already have the ingredients pre-measured just for the sake of time and efficiency. We're gonna start in the bowl with 3/4 cup of flour, and then we have a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, and 1/4 teaspoon of table salt. So we'll put the dry ingredients in the bowl first. Again, that's 3/4 cup of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So we'll set that aside, and in a second bowl, we'll add 3 eggs, and then 1 cup of sugar, now it would have made more sense to start the wet ingredients in the mixing bowl so I could just go ahead and start it in there and then add the dry ingredients, but I didn't do that, so I'm just going to mix the 3 eggs with the cup of sugar. And to that, we're gonna add in 2/3 cup of pumpkin. So it's just canned pumpkin. You can certainly use fresh if you had it. I've done that before. You just have to be really careful to make sure you get all of the liquid out, or it can affect your recipe. Ask me how I know. Okay, that's stirred together well enough. We'll go ahead and put the bowl on the mixer. And then we'll add the liquid into that. I'm just gonna give this a quick little stir for those dry ingredients to mix together. Okay, we are doing it a little backwards, but it won't matter as long as all the ingredients get mixed together. We're adding the liquid mixture in. I'm just going to scrape the sides. Sometimes in these mixers, the bottom of the bowl is so deep that sometimes the dry mixture will get stuck at the bottom there. You don't want that. So I always scrape that a little bit. Okay. We'll mix that just a little bit longer while I go get the pumpkin off my hands. Okay. Now my oven has been preheated to 375, and that's Fahrenheit. For anybody living outside of the United States. Okay, I have a 15 by 10 cookie sheet. The recipe says jelly roll sheet. That's what this needs, so cookie sheet, jelly roll sheet, whatever you want to call it, that's the right pan. Now you can grease and flour the pan, or you can just add parchment paper like I have. Parchment paper works fine, or it has worked fine for me every time. I just made 2 of these this past weekend and they turned out great, no worries. Make sure we get all of that out. This does make a thin layer. And we're just going to spread that out to the edges and into the corners. Just tucking that parchment paper into the corner to make sure that pumpkin can get in there. Just make sure it's settled in there good. And then we have a cup of walnuts. Last time I used pecans, and I'm just mixing it up this time with some walnuts. And you don't have to put any kind of nut on top of this. If you like it without, that is perfectly fine. Doesn't affect the recipe at all. Now, I don't really think I want a full cup, so I'm just going to use about a half of that, and I think that's going to be perfect for us. Okay, so I'm going to pop this in the oven. Last time it took exactly 11 minutes, so that's what I'm going to do this time. The recipe does say 11 to 14 minutes. You know, if your oven runs a little bit slow, then yours may take longer. I would really recommend getting an oven thermometer just so you know. It's nice to know if your oven runs hot or if it runs cold. So we're gonna pop this in for 11 minutes. So while the cake's in the oven, I have just taken a clean dishcloth and I've sprinkled it with a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. Now we're going to turn the cake over onto this, so you really want that sugar all over so the towel doesn't actually stick to the cake. Okay, the cake is done. Looks good. Now we're just going to flip this very carefully over onto this towel that is covered in powdered sugar. Oh. Okay, very carefully, because sometimes you get a little edge that wants to flip under, but I think we're okay. So now we're going to just peel off, again, very carefully, the parchment paper. There you go. Now starting with the narrow end of the cake, we're just going to roll this up, towel and all. Towel in and just roll it up. Now I'll get a cooling rack. I'm going to let this cool completely on this cooling rack before I do anything else with it. So we'll give that at least an hour, and then we'll come back and we will make the filling, as long as it's completely cool. We don't want to put filling in a cake that's still warm. So we want this completely cooled down, however long that takes. Okay, so while our cake is cooling, we're gonna go ahead and just get this filling done, and it will be fine to sit out at room temperature until that's completely cool. So for the filling, we're starting with an 8-ounce block of cream cheese. I use Philadelphia cream cheese because I've tried other brands and there is a noticeable difference. So I'm a little bit of a cream cheese snob, but it's hard to beat Philadelphia cream cheese. And to that, I'm adding 6 tablespoons of butter, 1 cup of powdered sugar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Just throw it all in the same bowl and mix it up. Pumpkin roll has been sitting for about 1 hour and 15 minutes, and it feels pretty cool. So I think we're going to give it a shot. In the middle of mixing the filling, we had a little bit of a power outage, so that was a fun little surprise. Okay, turn this around a little bit. So you want to do this gently. Keep the cake from cracking. If you can at all. Now I have a tiny little crack on the inside there. I'm not sure. It hasn't gone all the way to the outside, so I've done these plenty of times and I've never had an outside crack. So with any luck, we'll still be batting 1,000 after today. Now I did notice, and I think my cream cheese, maybe part of it just wasn't quite at room temperature. So my filling has a few lumps in it. Lumps of cream cheese. I mean, it tastes fine. It's not ideal as far as looks, but we're just going to be eating this at home. We're not going to be taking it anywhere. I would be a lot more particular if this was going to go somewhere besides this kitchen. Okay. Just gonna spread that on. Very carefully push this out. We want to spread around pretty evenly. Yeah, definitely have some lumps of cream cheese, so don't do what I did. Just do as I say. just make sure that your cream cheese and butter are at room temperature so you can avoid the lumps. Never had that happen before, but of course, when you're filming things, It's just a little bit more stressful and you are more prone to make mistakes, but this is not a crucial mistake. So you're just going to take that end and you're just going to slowly roll this up. There we go. No harm, no foul. So it does say to wrap this in saran wrap and put it in the refrigerator overnight. Of course, if you made this in the morning, you could just put it in the refrigerator for several hours and then it would be ready by evening. So at this point, we're going on 9 p.m. We were at medical appointments all day, so I did not get this started until after dinner. Honestly, we don't need to be eating pumpkin roll this late in the evening anyway, so it's better that it'll be ready tomorrow. Okay, so now tomorrow we will finish it off with a good coating of powdered sugar. And if you're taking it somewhere and you want it to look nicer, of course, you would just trim off the ends and make that even. We probably won't do that because, again, it's just us. Okay. I'm just going to do one this way because I did not get a wide enough roll to cover those ends. I don't want it drying out overnight. Okay, she's ready to go in the refrigerator, and we will come back in the morning and finish it up and give it a try. Good morning. So this little pumpkin roll has been sitting in the refrigerator all night just to give the filling a chance to set up. So we're going to go ahead and unwrap her now and give it a try. I do apologize if the lighting is bad this morning. I'm trying not to use the overhead can lights just because they really wash everything out and they create shadows, and downward shadows is not something that this 54-year-old face needs. So we're going to work on the lighting situation in this kitchen. But for now, we're going to deal with this pumpkin roll. By the way, happy November 1st, the official beginning of Thanksgiving season. Unless you're my husband, which means November 1st is the official beginning of Christmas season. Okay. So I just have some powdered sugar in this little shaker. Oops. And I love this little shaker. This is great for French toast or, you know, whatever else you need powdered sugar on, but I mainly use it for French toast and this. All right, so we're going to give it a good coating. Here we go. So that is basically done. I will clean the extra sugar off that board. Now, for the sake of presentation, you can go ahead and cut off the ends because they're always going to be just a little bit uneven. So it will look a little neater if you trim off the ends. Plus, it gives us something to taste. So with a very sharp knife, we're just going to take off 1/2 inch there on the end. Okay. You can see that already looks much better. Plus you're able to see the swirl in there better, which is nice. So we'll go ahead and do this end also. You can see that very well. I'm gonna plate for these two pieces. I don't know if you can see that, but we do have a little pocket right there. And I think, being in a little bit of a rush last night, I put that filling in when the cake was just still a tiny bit warm. It didn't feel like it was, but obviously it was a little bit. So I would just maybe give that, you know, maybe a full hour and a half to cool, but still just doesn't affect the taste and really doesn't affect the look of it that much either. So we're okay with that. Okay, so we're just gonna take a small bite. It's still early in the morning, and I know they're not a lot different than donuts or muffins, but try not to start out my day with just straight carbs. I never thought I'd say this. I think I like the walnuts a little bit better than the pecans. Don't know why, I've always preferred pecans, but that's really good. The cake is super moist because you're not baking it very long. It holds that moisture in there. And then the filling is, I mean, it's very sweet, but the cake isn't overly sweet, so it pairs pretty well. It's a really good balance. But yeah, that's delicious. All right, almost stop. All right, so you've seen how easy that was to make, other than just being really careful about rolling it and unrolling it. I mean, you're just mixing a few ingredients and pouring it in a pan and baking it for 11 minutes. So super easy. The filling was super easy. Again, make sure that your cream cheese and your butter are fully softened, or you will get some lumps. Not a catastrophe. It tastes great. But yeah, if you want a really nice smooth filling, that's super important. So I hope you try this. It's the perfect season for pumpkin roll, all things pumpkin. And we're heading into the holiday season. There's going to be a lot more baking. I will try and focus also on some weeknight dinners and maybe some comfort dinners, maybe some healthy dinners. We'll see, but I hope you stick around and join me in future videos. And if you enjoyed this, I hope that you would consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for joining me. I hope to see you next time.